Good morning. Welcome to our 6 a.m. Pacific Time daily devotional, or whatever time it is in your time zone, or perhaps you're joining us later in the day. This year, we've committed to taking a moment in the morning, or whenever you do join us, to compose ourselves and our thought. And we are quickly becoming a community of practicing religious scientists. That's what we call ourselves, those of us who are part of Centers for Spiritual Living. The idea is to get settled in our awareness of the presence of the living spirit in us and around us, so that we remain rooted in it as we embrace the day with all its complexities. We are using 365 Science of Mind, a year of daily wisdom from Ernest Holmes. The text was written a very long time ago. And so the way I work with it is I read it to see how it lands in me. And I sometimes ask myself, is there a easier way to express what I've just read, or is there a more contemporary way to express what I've just read? And how does it land with me and relate to the world today? In other words, I'm using the text as a springboard into inquiry about the nature of the spiritual universe I'm living in as best as I understand it today. I'm not taking this as the gospel truth. I'm taking it as one person's reflection. Now I'm another person reflecting, and you are another person reflecting, and we are exploring together. Appropriately today, the topic for March 7th is individualization. I say appropriately because there is an upswelling in the world of the desire to flatten out people into sameness. In the United States here, a rise of legislation, anti-LGBTQI plus legislation, the elimination of the use of the word gay in schools. And then there is the armed conflict in Europe. So individualization, or more easily expressed, the diversity that is the natural order of things, and how holy that is. How holy it is that we are different and that we don't fit in, and yet we are connected to each other. Everything in the universe is a unique individualization or expression of the one thing that is the cause of all things. No two blades of grass are alike. No two grains of sand. No two thumbprints. No two of anything are alike. And nothing ever exactly reproduces any other thing. This means that the one ultimate cause is pressing against every individualization, flowing through it or him or her, and that every event in the infinite has an infinite possibility behind it. So that's a big, long, complicated sentence. I just sit with it and ask myself, what does that mean? How would I express that? I don't mind sharing with you that sometimes I even pull out a piece of paper and I rewrite what I've read if I find it an idea worthy of wrestling with. So how would I write this today if I was writing a blog post or expressing it to teenagers in my life? This means, I would say, that the living spirit, because that's my favorite word to describe the divine, this means that the living spirit is expressing itself through all the diversity that exists. And that stretching out in both directions, there is an infinity of possibilities. So, what does that mean to me today? Well, to me, it means that I must be careful that I don't follow a predicted pathway for the outcome of things in life, like especially if I'm governed by fear. Oh, where is the armed conflict going to go? And I start to paint out an outcome that seems inevitable. So I remind myself that there is an infinity of possibilities because each person involved is unique. And so it's worth imagining other outcomes, not to just accept. And I don't accept what's happening today as the only thing that can happen. I don't accept anti-LGBTQ legislation as the end of the road. No, diversity is not going away. Autonomy is not going away. Uniqueness, oh, it's the magic spice that makes us who we are. We have to link all of this thinking with our everyday actions because we cannot live by theory alone. I love that. Love, yes, certainly sit and think about it, but then bring it into expression. One of the ways that we can bring it into expression is to talk to people who have different ideas and different opinions, people who have arrived at radically different conclusions to the ones we may have, to discover how they got there, to understand them, to share our hearts with them, to bring our spirituality into expression in the social realm, to talk liberty, to talk freedom, to talk inclusion. Even if we're not very skilled at it, we can be passionate about it. These ideas must be brought down to earth and applied to our daily life. It is wonderful, however, to realize we do not have to imitate. We do not have to compete. All we have to do is be ourselves and realize that the one self is expressing itself in us in a unique way. It's an ideal setting where everybody is safe to be their authentic self. But we know today in society it is not safe. So, as spiritual beings, we must hold high the standard of safety for all, to speak it, to vote for it, to protect. Because in the end, when it is safe for all people to be their authentic selves, we all benefit. Society will be richer. And we don't even have to like each other. Isn't that wonderful? Or agree. But welcome. So here are the words of affirmation that are suggested. I invite you to take a breath in with me. And to exhale, let your eyes close. And I love the words Louise Hay used to use, in the infinity of life where I am. Within the diversity of creation where I am. All is whole and perfect and complete because the full expression of the living spirit is completely present here and now. Today, I practice being myself. I think from the center of my own being, simply and directly. The center of my own being is one with the living Spirit. And in that center is everything. All the good, all the presence, all the power, immediately available, immediately responsive to this acceptance that is being expressed through this affirmation. I feel the joy arise in me, a simple, uncomplicated joy of knowing that within me is a spirit that expresses as me in a unique way. This presence within me, warm, personal, colorful, it responds to me. It is within, around, and through me. And by way of this affirmation, it embraces all things. And so, in the holiness of this moment, in the beauty of it, I open my heart and I make space to include all those people in the world who are in the presence of armed conflict. And I dedicate myself to being a conscious presence of holiness and peace on their behalf. I open my heart to be a place of inclusion for all those people who are facing exclusion, vilification, or elimination through legislation. And I dedicate myself to seeing them, including them, advocating for them. And as I breathe, I sink into the stillness of the moment, being willing to be instructed from within by it. Peace, peace, peace. And then letting the next breath you take be deeper than the one before. And exhaling, perhaps with moving your shoulders. Begin to become available to the environment I'm sitting in. Sometimes I'll find some ordinary object to look at, because I may have not paid attention to it in recent times. And then I take in slowly all of the details of it. I imagine what it feels like, who created it, if it was created by a person, my connection to those creating hands, the function that that item plays in my life. And through this practice of carefully looking at the object in my close environment, it's like I am deepening the moment of mindfulness, appreciating the holiness of what is present. It's like I'm refueling, filling up my tanks so that I can be present for the world. Today, I invite you to go to the World Ministry of Prayer. You can search for it in a browser, or the link is at the beginning of the description of each broadcast, and to call for a prayer. Request a prayer. When I request a prayer, I'm not the only one who benefits from receiving the prayer. The way I think about it is the vibration of the world is lifted up. So request a prayer from the World Ministry of Prayer. Make it on behalf of yourself or on somebody else, and watch then the blessings flow. I thank you in advance, all of those dozens of people who share this broadcast. I appreciate you very much. Have a blessed day.